Hello, I'm Tony King. I'm a photographer, and today I want to discuss, photography. Who is allowed to take a good photo? Anyone. That's kind of my thesis statement today, so let's cycle back. I want to say that my YouTube channel here, as it pertains to photography, is to document my body of work, my growth, and my experience in general as a photographer. I've been sharing my photo montages, my photo albums for 2 years before I ever added my face and voice to a gear review or photo analysis or whatever kind of video. And if you keep track of where I started and where I am now, it's pretty clear to see that I've improved quite a bit. So one of my favorite ways to learn about photography, I don't have any educational background in photography, but one of the main things that I love to do is to just listen to other photographers, especially those that I admire, talk about their own work. That can be in interviews, that can be just them talking about it on YouTube videos and podcasts, or in person especially. When an artist is adding this sort of context and meaning to their own work, hearing their motivations helps me learn something that I can apply to my own work. This is when I learn the most. So recently I've shifted a lot of the videos that I'm making towards this direction of photo analysis and away from kind of scripted gear reviews or things like this. This is helpful for me to track my own growth, reflect on my own work, see where I'm failing and where I'm succeeding, where I'm learning, and where maybe I need to focus some more attention, what I like and what I dislike, all these sort of things. And hopefully this comes across to you guys and is also something that can benefit you in your own journey as an artist or specifically as a photographer. And let me make it clear, the point of this channel is not to just show my best work, my portfolio, or even just like my favorites. It's not about that. I want to show all of my experiences. I often expose the first time I ever did something, whether it's like shooting behind the scenes or red carpet photography or live music. These are things that I talk about, or shooting film photography for the first time that, it was my first time. It's not like I'm gonna make the most amazing photo when I'm doing it the first time, but sometimes when you see people talk about their work, they're already a pro. They already know exactly what they're gonna do, and so what they're showing that they're capable of, oftentimes it seems pretty unachievable to a beginner. And I wouldn't say I'm a beginner, but I'm definitely not a pro either. And a lot of these things that I'm trying for the first time, hopefully me describing my experience and kind of reflecting on my work, looking where I can improve, talking about my experience and saying, well, I like this, but I wish I did this instead. These are the same things that I'm going to be taking in to that next experience, that hopefully if somebody else is going for their first experience shooting something or shooting anything really, they might watch my video, hear how I'm talking about it, and that allows them to kind of consider something that they might not have before, or at least say, hey, you know what? I don't need to have a, award-winning photo on my first ever try because it's my first ever try. And so hopefully it's not so dejecting if you don't get something so like amazing on your first try of something. You can see that growth, analyze your own work, and see where did I do well, where do I want to improve, and what I like and what I dislike. So in these videos, I'm trying to articulate my goals and to reflect on how I'm doing with them. And I find it very valuable for myself as an artist, and hopefully this comes across as well to my viewers. I am a pretty optimistic person, but I really do want to create a positive environment here around artwork in general. I went to film school, and as I was in the film world and now as a photographer in the photography world and the art scene in general, one thing that I find is really lacking is just a general humility. I feel like it's actually frowned upon. I think there's tremendous value in being confident in your work, and especially being able to speak in favor of your work. That is so important, but oftentimes I see that this gets diluted into putting other people's work down to make yourself seem better. So with this idea of humility, one of the main distinctions lives within feedback. Encouraging constructive feedback can absolutely point out weaknesses in a photo without telling the photographer that they suck, which sounds extremely simple, but yet so many people seem to really struggle with this concept. Of course, you can theorize that this comes from general insecurities or the internet atmosphere as a whole, and that wouldn't be false. I've seen so many mean and degrading comments under up-and-coming photographers, and it just baffles me. And now that I've been sharing so many videos, I've also received a few myself. These types of comments aren't designed to help you solve a problem. They're designed to point out a problem and put you down for it, make you feel like a beginner, like you suck. It's really hard to kind of wrap your head around why someone would go out and write these types of comments, essentially just to make you feel bad. And I find that this sort of behavior is kind of common in the general arts industry, at least in the kind of community that I've been exposed to oftentimes. And it's pretty counterproductive. I'd much rather have a more cohesive community that uplifts itself. There's just so much competition on something that is at its core very subjective. So I want to bring this back to who can take a good photo. Anyone can. This is just the fact of this subjective art form. And it's in everyone's interest to avoid this whole gatekeeping negativity and try to uplift other people because we are stronger together. And in this way, everyone can try to learn and be better at their own specific craft, their own specific style. So what's a great photo? Well, within its content, to me, a great photo is a photo that means something. Whether it brings up a memory, makes you laugh, it makes you feel something. Oftentimes it can be quite a visceral feeling, and that is just an amazing experience to have. It could be an old photo of you and your parent, it can make you laugh, it can make you cry. I think that's a great photo, and if that's not what art's about, what is it about? I'm not sure what it can be about other than trying to make somebody feel something, especially something meaningful. So who can take a photo like that? Well, just about anyone. It could be taken on accident on an iPhone 4. It could be taken on somebody's Hasselblad 100 megapixel camera. Maybe that feels somewhat surface level or kind of obvious, so let's talk about technical stuff. Of course, a photo can be technically better or worse depending on someone's style. It could be more in focus, it could be more interesting compositionally, following design patterns that have been studied for centuries and taught in art schools. These are all factors that are valid and can exist. How are the colors or the lack thereof? All these things are very important and things that I have focused on as a growing photographer who is specifically working to be a photographer. Throughout the years, I've cultivated my own style and my own criteria for what I think is a technically sound photo. So even there's some subjectivity, there's compositions that I like, there's styles of focus that I like, subjects that I like more than others. Does that mean that a photo that doesn't fit my style isn't any good? I mean, I think the answer is kind of obvious at this point. But let me put it like this. A photo with very meaningful content is going to be a great photo. Whereas I think an amazing technical photo that has little to no substance to it might be a nice photo, but it isn't going to be a great photo. Of course, if you combine the two, okay, that's amazing. Let's go with that. Hopefully this sort of makes sense, but the reason I really want to point this out is because a great photo is going to change based on who sees it and who experiences it. And that's just kind of the absolute nature of art itself. So if you put someone down for taking a photo that they think is great, well, you're really kind of ignoring the fact that you're two completely different individuals and they might see something in that photo that you absolutely cannot see or just haven't seen yet. The challenge then is for you to try and explore and understand the greatness that they see in this particular photo. And that's going to help you become a better artist in the end. On the technical side, a divide in skill or taste can absolutely exist. Good criticism though doesn't derive from shaming someone, putting them down, telling them they're a beginner, or that they've done this completely wrong, or simply just claiming that you're better than they are. That doesn't really achieve what you think it is. Instead, there are gentle ways to suggest alternative techniques or give advice on how somebody might be able to improve on some of their work. Another thing to consider, there is this big notion that if you put out your artwork, like I put out all my photos, I'm asking to be judged, I'm asking to be criticized. Well, partially that is true. I am putting my work out there for it to be viewed, for people to experience it. But there is a difference between putting something out there in order to show it and putting something out there asking for feedback and advice. So sometimes the line isn't very clear. Sometimes it's not specified at all. Sometimes it is and people ignore it. I would implore you to consider, if you have a very harsh criticism on a photo, consider, are they putting this out there in order to get feedback and maybe the type of feedback that I'm planning to give them? Or are they just trying to show their progress, show their work, whatever it might be? So I'm talking about humility and just general kindness in the art world. In the end, no one's perfect. If I had to boil this all down to one thing, and for the sake of photography, I want to say that humility comes from trying to find what's great about any photo, not just your own. Hopefully, if you've ever received any negative comments about your work, whether it be at a workshop, whether it be on social media or in person, hopefully you don't let that get to you. I think their notion of what feedback might be is in the wrong place. Hopefully some of the ideas that I've talked about in this video are encouraging. And if you have left very mean comments to somebody before under a photo, or if you're planning to do it under this video, well, please try and reconsider, because I think there's a better, kinder way of going about it. And if a lot of people can come together and try and show a nicer energy level to one another, I think we can all learn from each other, and the entire arts community can be uplifted all together. There's so much space for art in the world. It's a very competitive field, because it feels like sometimes if your work isn't the one that's here, it's not going to be anywhere, but there is so much space for it, whether it's online or in various places throughout the real world. So when it comes to being competitive, I'm an extremely competitive person when it comes to sports and games, but when it comes to art and actually learning a craft, learning something, where I find my competition is just with myself. I want to improve myself. I never want to not say that I'm not an amateur. I would like to be an amateur the whole time, because it would indicate that I'm still continually learning and finding space to put my artwork out there, to try and improve my own work. And hopefully through that process, I can also encourage somebody else. So with that, I've been Tony King. If you liked what I had to say and you're still here, please subscribe to the channel. I post a lot of content about photography. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it meant something. And with that, I'll see you next time.